Hello, everyone. My name is Jorrel Santo Tomas, joined as always by my co-founder, Mr. Timothy Karambad. Yay! I now put like a sound now on top of that. So, yeah. Welcome to the 11th episode of our Mintplexity Podcast. I'm changing the thumbnail for this one, because now that we're in the next 10, you have to evolve. You have to evolve your thumbnails. You got one.
It's like a
10.
season.
Yeah,
is that
like
how we're breaking them up?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like a season. Like you could consider this like season 2. We are kind of in this new era. We're in a new era of Mintplex. It's already been our year anniversary since we started, or we officially made Mintplex a thing, or what was called Ramp a year ago. Maybe I should call it like the Rampity Podcast, like start with that. And then like season 2 is Mintplexity. I don't know. I'm just kidding. That's a horrible idea. But anyways, yeah, it's been a year since we started doing this stuff. It's been a lot of fun. I don't know, Tim, it's crazy how far we've gone.
It
in
is
1
crazy.
year.
I definitely think it's more, this can be broken up into seasons because working at a startup is kind of like being in a sitcom. Same themes kind of happening in the background every single day. New lines.
I will say I have to agree with that. There has been moments that feel almost repetitive, where it's kind of like, are we seriously doing this bit again? It's like, are you serious? It's like an ongoing inside joke for the series, and then all of a sudden, you get through 10 episodes, and in this case, you've gone through a whole year of doing this. But that being said, speaking of second season, I think last episode we did tease that we were going to be launching a new product this quarter, which Tim, or we have officially coined. I think we also coined it last podcast, but we officially coined Mint Foundry.
.xyz. You know it's going to be XYZ. You know it's got to be XYZ.
Yeah, and then for those of you who live in like Australia or something, XYZ.
Oh my God. Yeah, they're just incorrect. Good luck typing in the Z letter in your browser. Good luck.
Yeah. It's XYZ. Okay. Thank you. But yeah, tell us more. I know you've been grinding at it for the last couple of weeks here, and we're actually making some substantial progress, right?
Yeah, at this rate, what's today? Actually, today's the 13th. Yeah, it's not even the middle of January. Yeah, it should be at least a beta that we can give to some of our first customers who we know want to use it. It'll be done probably by the end of the month. The only thing we're looking to add now, I think, is payments, and that's it, because we don't build stuff for charity. So except our Launchpad, I guess, because that is free. So maybe we do build a little bit of things for charity.
Well, we had, like our Launchpad was paid for a good 9 months before we changed it to free. So,
but either way, this tool, just to catch everyone up, because we actually have it's literally in front of me, we can use it. It is going to allow you to basically take all of your NFTs and have one really nice place to just manage them. Like on Instagram, you can look at all your photos and delete them or whatever and all that stuff. That's what you're going to be able to do. It shows you all your NFTs, shows you the name, the traits, the description. You can click on them, update them in real time. That'll automatically get pushed to OpenSea. And the best part is actually everything that comes after this V1 and that is when we allow people to programmatically update their stuff. Basically, you can have it hooked up to your Discord or your Shopify store or literally anything, and have almost like Zapier events that just when something happens, you could push an update to our API and it would update a token, which is pretty incredible because the world is pretty much your oyster at that point. You can just do whatever you want. And as long as people are happy with whatever the NFT is that you gave them, it all works the same. But it's all on IPFS, which is great. We still remain that aspect decentralized. And of course, there's always the ability to freeze your collection at any time. So we'll always keep Web3 in mind, but this is such a massive problem in the space because people want to do fancy stuff with their NFTs, but they do not know how to do it from the metadata perspective because it's hard. It's really easy to mess up. It is insanely easy to mess up. And so, we basically have built now a tool that you can use that abstracts away all of the complexity. And now you can do literally anything you want. You want to have it to where when people earn a level in Discord, it pops up on their NFT. You can do that. Like all of this stuff will be possible. It'll be pretty awesome.
Yeah. And the big thing is, I think we were strong advocates about a year ago about like metadata being really the main driver of what makes NFTs really, really powerful, because otherwise they're not. If you remove the metadata from an NFT, it's no longer a non-fungible token. It's just fungible tokens that have unique token like identifiers. That's it.
Yep.
So
you're just moving around a bunch of tokens.
So that's why I think this is such a massive upgrade to the current space, because nobody's really focusing on this aspect, and it really isn't. How do I say the most exciting? Not really the most exciting thing that people really hyper focus on, but we've been seeing a lot of changes and developments, especially with our own chats. Our lovely intercom chat bubbles with regards to issues with metadata. So
also, like, this is an easy slam dunk to give your holders like an actual value to your NFT besides just access to whatever community that you have. Like, for example, for games, this is just like a layup. Like, I mean, even Cool Cats, actually, when they came out with Cool Pets started as an egg, and then you would basically play their game, and eventually they would hatch and you can evolve them and all this other stuff. That is something totally custom built by Cool Cat's team. And basically, if you want to replicate that, you're going to have to build your own. That is no longer the case. If you have a game and someone mints a sword, essentially, or you give them a sword, you airdrop them an NFT of a sword, you can have it to where over time, as they use the sword in game, the NFT image actually updates to maybe a degraded sword or a broken sword and stuff like that. And you can actually now do all of this without having to airdrop them 50,000 NFTs continuously. You can just update the same NFT continuously and the metadata associated with it. It's honestly beautiful. And I know we are ahead of the curve on building this product, because I know this is before the demand. But once people see what you can do, it's going to go nuts. Like, I'm completely adamant about it, because this is just this will bring back fun to NFTs. It won't be about just flipping them for money, about using them.
Yeah. And that's the goal, right? Is we want real users. We want real stuff that flows in and out of our products. Unlike some companies that we've been seeing, not in our space, but just in general.
Oh God. I know. I know who you're referencing.
So the segue, we're going to continuously have metadata updates for y'all who listen to our pod every week as the product gets finished. But the segue into some more recent news, I think a lot of people have probably seen in our space the whole Saber investigations in Solana, and then in the mainstream the whole defrauding that Charlie Gervais had done to JP Morgan recently. And there's some interesting overlapping threads here, Tim. And I think you were the one we were talking about this before we started recording. But why don't we dive into that a little bit?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about the common thread probably being Forbes 30 under 30 founders committing fraud, maybe that's a thing. I don't know. It's kind of like how there's like this whole rumor that like only good software engineers drink a lot of Diet Coke. There's like some weird kind of like thread there where it's like good software engineers drink a lot of Diet Coke. I don't know where that comes from, but maybe Forbes 30 under 30 founders are also up to no good.
Do you drink Diet Coke, Tim?
No.
Oh.
I can't drink soft drinks all day. You die when you're like, die in 2 years. But the Saber thing I think is interesting because it's actually the DOJ is finally investigating them. Of course, as we've talked about 10,000 times, is that, yes, people are doing stuff that is illegal and it looks like they're getting away with it. They aren't getting away with it. It is just a slow wheel of justice that is eventually going to run them over. It's just kind of how it works. And so you saw the DOJ is investigating Saber, which was basically TLDR. If no one remembers, one person built, I think it was like 7 DeFi protocols on Solana, but each of like the first one was established and they, would generate like fake TLV by trading tokens. But then they launched a second DeFi protocol that was borrowing from the first, and the third would borrow from the second. and so on and so forth, to where basically it looked like Solana's TLV was absolutely insane. People were going crazy on it. And it was actually just a couple DeFi products all run by the same person, trading tokens between each other continuously. And it was kind of, and like when it was found out, I forgot who found it out, but someone kind of like busted the whole case open on Twitter, of course, and was like, yo, all of this is fake. And then they were like, oh, yeah, kind of funny, isn't it? LOL. And it's like, no, that's not funny. LOL. And yeah. And so now the DOJ is investigating them for essentially fraud. I wonder, I don't know if they tried to raise.
I don't think they would need to, because they literally just used everyone else's liquidity. So
that's true. They don't need, they wouldn't even need to raise. I don't even know. Who knows if they even stood to gain anything from it besides just being responsible for a lot of Solana's TLV or TVL, TVO.
Yeah. Say it total value locked. Yeah.
Yeah. My bad. Okay. But either way. And then, the thing that's interesting to that is like, of course, again, so they're getting investigated. And then today also, they had that withfrank.org founder, JP Morgan, apparently FOMO'd into this one, bought it, and then realized that, well, it was 4.25 million fake accounts. That's what the number was.
They on their website, they claim there's 4.25 million users. In reality, 4 million of those users were fake.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah. Yeah. So 4 million of those accounts. So they say, hey, we have 4.25 million people on our site, right? And it was like, okay, cool. But then they realized that 90% of their users were fake emails.
Oh my God.
In reality, they only had 250,000 real users, which is by no means a small amount. But like,
I'm on Reuters right now. And yeah, it says, for creating nearly 4 million fake customer accounts, they paid 175 million. And basically they believe that the founder had paid somebody, I guess like a professor or something.
Yeah, it was like a New York professor.
Yeah, that more than 4.25 million students had created accounts on Frank. So yeah, they claimed that they had that many, and they really nearly 4 million of them were fake. Because they tried to send a test email to all of them and only 28% delivery rate. And usually they have 99%.
Yeah, exactly.
That's brutal.
But that's the thing is like you fake 90% of your user base. Like that's crazy. I mean, like, and by the way, that is in the traditional, like this is fintech. This is Web2 fintech space. And there was fraud. Web3 fintech space. Also fraud and like fake value. Money's not real, everyone. Money's not real. Like apparently to all these fucking people, dude, money's not real.
And neither are the users apparently either.
Users.
Yeah. Which also, okay. If you hear crinkling in the background, it's my tinfoil hat for those of you listening on a non-visual platform. Okay. Now, not naming names, but I just want to put out a healthy amount of skepticism. Okay. Because we run Mintplex, so we have a pretty good insight into how crypto is functioning, what people are doing, and also really cool projects that happen to fall out of it, right? Even if it's stuff that we weren't even related to, like they may have not even used us, but we would have discovered this service or their community or their project, because the crypto community, frankly, right now is quite small, and it only got smaller from the downturn. So it's pretty easy to know who was behind something that's popular. Like we're probably 1 degree of freedom away from talking to like Azuki founders, you know, like everyone is 1, maybe 2 degrees from knowing every single person that is doing anything in Web3. Mm-hmm. And this is where the skepticism comes in. There are some services and platforms that are making really big claims right now in this market, which I think is surprising because it's like, everyone would know, where they'll say, oh, we're launching hundreds of thousands of contracts and doing millions of transactions on those contracts. Yet I don't know any, and nobody we know knows anybody that has actually had a successful project on this service, which I think is quite suspicious.
Services.
Well, yeah, it's not even one service, actually. It's services. Yeah. But like that just doesn't shake out like statistically, because we have, and like verifiably now around like 1,400 mainnet contracts. And I could say roughly probably like 15% of those probably have a namesake in some way, shape, or form. Either they did a lot of volume on a L2 and that made them popular, or maybe they just have a really robust community on something like ETH. Like we have communities that have, I guess you would say, social proof in the space. Yet some of these services, like they're making insane claims, and I can't think of a single project that has been successful or like has the same kind of social proof like something like a Cool Cat would have, or something like even some of our lesser known projects might have. I just think that's suspicious. I'm just saying, I think it's suspicious. Like where is the volume and who is the volume?
Yeah. And once again, like the reason we're saying this is to really parallel like what happened with like the JP Morgan stuff, what's happening with Saber, because I think it's just so easy in at least in the last like 5, 6, 10 years of the bull run, where you're like supposed to prove you're growing so fast. It's so easy to just like use ways, not really nefarious per se, but just use really questionable means to inflate numbers. Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And not to only raise other red flags, but like in Web3, I mean, think about it. They paid some professor, which I'm like, that seems like, why would you hire a New York University professor to make, like, you could have got this done on Fiverr by some 18-year-old in God knows where, and they would have done it for $300 and got you 4 million accounts. I do not know why they paid a New York professor to do this. But what's also troubling to me specifically is any other service in Web3 can claim like, oh, we have a bunch of wallets on our service because it costs $0 to make a wallet. And it is a trivial action to do. And so I also fear that some people might be trying to fake their growth by just spinning up fake wallets and connecting to their service. But if you dive a little bit deeper than the surface, you'd find that those people aren't really participating.
Like, yeah, and I do believe about a year ago, around this time a year ago, when I forget who made this report. Was it one of the big four companies? I can't remember. But one of
like
the big
EY
four,
or something like that.
Yeah, it was it Bain maybe, or McKinsey? I think it was McKinsey.
Oh,
McKinsey.
Okay.
McKinsey made this report about how many active wallets and how many active transactions in blockchain there was. They were like, okay, hey, this is the state of the market. And I think about a year ago, they said there was only 360,000 active ETH wallets. And when they say active, that means there's more than like 3 or 4 transactions. So there are millions.
It's a minimum threshold.
Yeah, there are millions of wallets already. Like we already know that Coinbase, they have their Coinbase wallet, a lot of custodial, stuff and activity. But the fact of the matter is, like within those parameters, only 360,000 of those wallets are considered active, transacting active user wallets, right? So when you hear these really big numbers, you're just like, and a lot of people even admit too that a lot of people also exited the space last year. So those active wallets have now decreased. And because of that, it's like when you hear these really big numbers, all these types of things, it's just like, what actually are those contracts? What actually are those things doing?
What are the transactions? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah. And even something as successful as Sound Protocol, they're not launching contracts left and right. They've had
you can look at it. I can tell you right now how much mint activity has happened on their deployer. But continue.
But the point being is that like even if they were to launch 3 or 4 contracts a day, or even more than that, like for us, our peak days are like we'll see 15 contracts being launched on Mintplex, right? Even if they're hitting that volume every single day, you don't even hit. You're nowhere near the amount you need to hit that 1,000, 2,000 contracts a year threshold. And so that's why it's like to us, it's kind of just like, it's weird to see those like sweeping claims, especially like, we'll see launchpads in Solana. We'll see launchpads in ETH. Well, not even launchpads, but just dev tools, Solidity dev tools that have these really big number claims. And we have never heard of any of those things. And once again, we're paralleling it to Frank because I used to work in the edtech space and I'd never heard, like they raised in 2018. So this company's been around for 4 years before the acquisition. I had never heard anything about this company until literally yesterday when this whole fraud thing like occurred. So it's just like, if you don't have PMF and your users are fake, that's
it's suspicious.
It's really odd. That's all I'm gonna say. And like I said, I don't want to I don't want to crinkle Tim's tinfoil hat too much, but it's just, once again, very, 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 very sus. It's super, super sus about how everything number wise is occurring within our space, and actually just in startup spaces in general. Like, I think the pressure to hit certain numbers has forced them to tweak the data just a little bit. And I used to be a data analyst at several large startups, and I will say, I'm not surprised. I'm not saying that any of these startups were doing that, but I'm just saying that I would not be surprised if there were more companies that were inflating their numbers on purpose.
So I'm looking at the Dune Analytics view for sound right now, and this is tracking since December 2021. Okay. Cumulative songs minted on sound is a shade under 50,000. And so that would be around 50,000 mint transactions. That's not including trades and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that just
how many contracts though has sound pushed out?
So that one is not represented on this board.
But it would be sub 50,000 though, obviously.
Oh yeah. Clearly, it would be sub 50,000 because, well, right now sound is also like, you can't just like apply and get on. So it's unlikely that they're launching contracts that have zero mints at all. They're launching verified artists. So that would ensure at least one mint would occur. So hopefully more. I mean, artists need to make a living. So I mean, it would be less than 50,000 unique contracts for sure. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, the one thing that I think blows apart the entire theory, though, is like, what if it's someone just like airdropping BS to just literally random wallets? People would like dust wallets when the Tornado Cash thing happened, and they were dusting wallets of popular holders. Like, if you had a free mint with like 100 million supply and just like generated a random address and just dropped it to them, I mean, does that count? It's not real transaction. It's not real. That's a simulated transaction. I don't know.
I don't think it's blowing up your theory. I think it's making your theory more possible. Possible.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that's super, when the barrier for entry to a chain drops, something like Polygon, super, super, super cost effective to deploy on, super easy to do hundreds of millions of mints for like $10, right? You wind up getting a lot of spam inadvertently, right? So you invite that. So you kind of get a little bit of both. So it could, like, who knows? Maybe there actually is that, because if I open up my OpenSea account right now, I guarantee in my hidden tab, I've got like 50,000 NFTs that I've never even seen in my life that were just airdropped to us. So
yeah, and a lot of them are Polygon.
And almost all of them are Polygon, actually. I could say that definitively, because I guess it's just the risk reward isn't there. But yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know, just something to just keep our eyes out. I mean, we're going to keep playing it, true. But, if anybody else wants to be up to suspicious stuff, that's on them. That's their risk.
Yeah. So, yeah. But anyways, like we're telling all of our listeners, it's just be diligent. Do your due diligence is really what the lesson from Sabre and JP Morgan in this last week has taught us. If it's taught us anything, please just do your due diligence, do your own research. It is very rough out there, whether you're a holder for an NFT or whether you're investing in a company. Really, really ask the hard questions. And really show proof in the pudding. Test the emails. Test the wallet.
Test the emails, test the wallets. It almost makes you think that in the future, is there a possibility where you might not have access to a dApp unless you can prove that the wallet is real? And the way to prove the wallet is, how they send you like a penny and then they take it back to verify your bank account? doing the same thing where it's like, we're going to send you something. And if you don't send it back, then we'll know that it's not a real wallet. Like,
I definitely could see that. I mean, because
it could be almost like
bank accounts, dude. Vaults are bank accounts.
Think about that. Like, I know in the last episode, we talked about bot spam. What if the only way to mint on something was to verify it by doing this transaction where it's like, okay, we're going to airdrop you a token and you need to send it back. And that's the only way that you get on the list to be able to mint. I mean, it's really complicated needlessly for no reason at all, but
I could see it working. I mean, obviously, like the big thing is that it costs money to do that. So it would have to be, it would have to be like the upside to getting on this allow list or something is way larger than the transaction cost
for the next Yuga mint or something like that. Because what they did last time, right, is they had everybody KYC themselves, and then they did the ape staking stuff, which I think could wind up blowing up on people. Because if you KYC'd for the second Yuga mint and then you staked your ape, and then they know who you are, it should be very easy to make those connections, and then you can go to jail if you're in the US.
That's rough. It's rough out there.
I don't know, whatever.
But that being said, with all this going on, at least here at Mintplex, like we'll be honest with you, we're doing great, despite all of the crazy shit going on. So I know some of you investors that watch or listen or watch our podcasts, we're just reiterating what we've told you guys and everyone else. We're doing fine. Mintplex forever. Mintplex forever and always. We're doing very healthy, and I think there's something to be said about us sticking true to our fundamentals last year, and it's still playing out the same exact way. We've been generally avoiding all the stuff that our gut feelings were telling us we're very suspicious.
Like putting all of our revenue in Olympus DAO.
Yeah.
RIP to every company that did that. RIP to every company that did that.
We had such crazy advice a year ago about like what we should be doing with extra capital, this yield accounts, all this stuff that sounded so sweet and like too good to be true. Ended up, guess what? Being too good to be true.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
It turns out money does not grow on the Bitcoin tree, on the Merkle tree. Money does not grow on the Merkle tree.
It definitely does not grow on the Merkle tree. And so everybody out there, we're around. We're going to be building. We're going to be pushing new stuff out these next 2 quarters. And please test out all the new things we're going to be doing, because I think we're here for the long tail. We've always said that since we started our funding journey back in March. We're always about the long tail, and that has not changed.
Nope, hasn't changed at all.
So anything else though, Tim, to wrap up this episode of Mintplexity, episode 11, new season?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, we already talked about the product. We gave our condolences to Solana bag holders, typical kind of a, Mintplex fanfare. So yeah,
weekly thing. No, you're forgetting. Always test on testnet.
Oh,
all right. All y'all intercom users.
We still have some people who do not do it. Please stop.
I'm really tempted to do a segment, and I don't know if this is a breach of contract or anything, but like, where at the end of each Mintplexity podcast episode, I just go through like the top comments of the week that we've got on Intercom.
I feel like that's too much of a dig at some of the questions that we get, because like it's just sometimes it's like, we do use their feedback to make decisions. Like, we know that this Mint Foundry tool that we're building will have use, because there's a lot of people that have problems with what we're doing. But then there are some questions that people do not know we get asked every day, like, what is Ethereum? That like maybe is like a little bit beyond our scope. They need to take some steps back. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, those are private communication, I guess. But I could still go through our YouTube comments. Okay, that's just as
YouTube comments
bad. All right, it's just as bad. Yeah, like biggest comment we had the last few weeks was, where do I download NFT Up? We do not own NFT Up.
Yeah,
we do
that
not
is
own
built.
NFT storage. Okay.
There's also a link to it.
We have links everywhere for it.
In the flow.
That question.
There's a link. It's highlighted blue, like a regular link would be. It's not like discrete.
Link. Oh,
yeah, you just click it, download it. Works on everything.
Yeah, but that's how close I am. That's how close I am. I'm so tempted, Tim. At the end of every episode, I just go through all top three intercom and YouTube comments we got for the week. But I'm not going to because dignity.
Unless you really want it to be featured, then if you're on YouTube and you're watching this or listening, you can comment something really dumb below, and there you go. You'll make it on the list. So.
Yeah. But anyways, with that, thank you all once again for sticking with us in this episode of the Mintplexity Podcast. As always, we're doing this pretty much weekly. We're trying to, keep things updated, fresh, but usually bi-weekly. If you haven't already, follow us on our socials, Mintplex at Mintplex NFT, or if that's not there, it'll just be at Mintplex. We have a YouTube channel, Twitter, we have TikTok, mainly Tim's TikTok, which you can go T Carambat, always the same. He's almost at 20K, guys. All right, help him grow. All right,
oh my
faster
God.
Tim grows, the faster that we can grow. Okay,
it's true. It turns into Mintplex clout.
Oh yeah. Well, at this point, Tim has more followers than there are people in the Web3 space. 10,000.
Maybe alive. Yeah.
10,000 users? Unheard of, dude. Unheard of. But anyways, yeah. So with that, thank you once again, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
All right. Stay safe.
Stay safe out there. Peace.